tell everybody your name and what you do and how long you've been teaching in Voorhees.
Okay, so my name is Barbara Andrew. I started in Voorhees in 1990, which makes me really young.
Young. Right.
And I taught at E.T. Hamilton School for 16 years. Okay. I taught 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade there. And then in 2005, I came to Crescent School as the reading specialist. And I was lucky enough at the time to have Barbara Dunleavy as my building principal. And she said to me, make this job your own.
Okay.
And they were the best words she could have said to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a pretty creative person. And so given that instruction, I pretty much was able to create my own vision of what a reading specialist does. So with that, I go into the classrooms to do model lessons. I put together what we call book walk. It's probably in its 13th or 14th year, where students create games or floats or puzzles or book summaries, and then they share them for the parents to come back in the evening and participate with. I didn't start as an education major in college.
Okay.
My dad actually didn't think it was important for me to go to college because, girls, you'll get married and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, boy.
But that was okay. I had a good job, and he really felt that you have a great job, go do that. But so it took me a little while, so I didn't start right out of
high school.
Right out of high school. So I worked for an advertising company, and then I used to paint murals in children's bedrooms. I had my own business. And then I went to college part-time. And then I decided to go full-time. I was a journalism communications major. And then I met my husband, who was in education. So he taught business at Lenape High School. And for some reason in conversation, he enlightened me to the fact that you can do all of these creative things that you like if you teach.
And help kids.
And help kids at the same time. And with that, I also thought back to my teachers. And when I was in 4th grade, I had a teacher. I grew up in Williamstown. I had a teacher who was just amazing. And we had a little schoolhouse there. It was only 4 rooms. And so I got to spend 4th grade in a little red schoolhouse. And she was the best. And in thinking back to her, it helped me to make that transition into education. So the cool thing about being in education and teaching in the classroom, I started with 4th graders, met Sandy D'Amico, who I told her she would be my friend. She'll laugh at this when she sees it because she remembers that situation. As a teacher, you can do every single thing that you're good at. You can sing if you want to sing. You can play an instrument if you want, right? There are so many ways to reach the children, right? Yeah. So I found that teaching was something I was really good at. And I hope that others would say this about me, but I feel like I really connect with kids. And I can kind of pick up on their background and help them out emotionally while at the same time help them out with the academics.
Sure.
So I love what I do.
What would you say is the biggest difference between being the reading specialist and the classroom? You said it was maybe you weren't ready, or it was a difficult thing
It wasn't. It wasn't a difficult transition. I got my reading certification because I wanted to help the children that I was teaching at that time. At that time, I had moved from 4th grade, and there was an opening in 2nd grade. I didn't want to become an assumptive teacher because I think that happens. I thought it was very important for me to see multitude of grades. So I went to 2nd grade, and in doing that, I realized that we needed to teach the kids to read. Well, I needed to learn how to teach the kids to read. So I went back and got my reading cert. Then very soon after that, I got this position. So it wasn't a hard transition for me. It was just that I missed having you close your door. Right. And they're yours. That's your family. And that's awesome. And I wasn't somebody to reach out to help from someone else. I wasn't someone to say, hey, I can't do this on my own. Maybe those are the words I should use. So I just was always learning. And so I learned from the kids, and I learned from their parents. And And I was always learning. So I found many different ways to help kids.
Right.
In doing that, I think it has helped me to be a better reading specialist because, I've been here, this is my 30th year, and I still go home and look things up so that I can help somebody else. But I've been lucky enough to watch other teachers, to see what they do and get ideas from them, because I'm not the end all be all. I know that, and I still need to learn.
That was here earlier would disagree, but
she's sweet.
well, that's good that you're a lifelong learner and
Yes.
dedicated to improving.
Yes.
So, how often do you see your students that you're currently working with? How often each week?
Well,
or does it vary?
Barb Dunleavy is also the person who taught me this sentence, and she'll laugh when she sees this. The miracle happens in the classroom was always Barb's mantra.
Okay.
And that's a great sentence because it helps me to not teach children to rely on me, but to teach children that they might need me for a little while, and then they need to get back in there and apply what they've learned. Okay, so when I see kids, I generally say to their parents, I'll see them for maybe 4 weeks. It's not that you're seeing Mrs. Andrew for the whole year.
Okay.
So I jump around and I see kids, and when I see that they're starting to develop, I want to push them back in the classroom.
Okay.
And then I wait for the teacher to get back in touch with me. That's just how I do it.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
has their way of
I
doing
like
it.
that.
I really think that kids learn best when they're among their peers. I don't ever want them to think that they can't move forward unless I'm holding their hand. The kids. No lie. My husband, like I said, taught at the high school level. He then became a guidance counselor. He would come in and visit. And when I would get home, he would say, Barb, it's so different at the elementary level. He said, you go in with the same excitement today as you had in 1990.
That's awesome. If there was one thing you had on your wish list, and money wasn't an issue, you could just this thing would happen. Is there anything that you would want to do?
So I don't know that it's a thing.
Okay.
Because honestly, you could give me a piece of chalk, and as much as I love technology, because I do,
I got you.
you could give me a piece of chalk and time.
Time. Wow.
And if I had that, we could solve a lot of problems.
Well, that's the best answer
And
I've heard yet. I like it.
think a lot of people would probably think that. Time. You talk to a 5th grade teacher who has students being pulled out for instrumental lessons. They've lost that time. It's all that's.
But the music's important too.
But the music's important
right.
too.
So everybody
and
needs time,
right.
right?
I'm
Yeah.
not saying that.
Yeah,
No,
it's
the
interesting.
music's great.
I know what you're saying.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right, that lost
if I
time.
just had that time, I
Right.
mean, think of your own family and
time
your
in
own
the day.
children.
Sure.
You just want more time.
Right.
Right.
Of course.
You just want more time. So that's my answer. I absolutely love my family. My husband's a great guy, always very supportive, and I learn half of my lessons from him because he just says things that I sit back and I think that's so true. He's just really a great partner. I have 2 sons. One just turned 26.
Okay.
His name is Colin. My other son is 23. His name is Hunter. I learned a lot of lessons from my very first job, which was McDonald's.
Right.
And it taught me how to handle people and how to talk to people and how to be humble. And I think you learn a lot of lessons in your early years.
Yeah.
And it's what you do with them. I don't know. I know that there are people walking these halls that would say that I'm a quiet leader in this building. That's enough for me.
Right. If you wanted me to know one thing as superintendent about Voorhees Township and school, what would it be?
I think the community of Voorhees respects education. I think it's a great community. And I've never been in a situation where a parent couldn't have a conversation with me or I couldn't, be upfront in what needed to be said. And I think maybe that's who I am. I respect that something might not feel good. You may not want to hear it, but I'm not afraid to make the phone call, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
We're all great at something. We don't have to always be the A in every little thing that we do. We're learning. That's why they call it school.